What the f? So in the previous video, I bought this bandsaw off Facebook Marketplace for a big fat $200. And in the previous video, I could not get it to work at all. Now you nice, caring and considerate people jumped into the comments section and gave me a lot of tips and tricks on how I can get this bandsaw to work. But when I came to the workshop to give it a go, I grabbed my spanner and the guide snapped. Now I'm not sure what material this is, it's very crumbly though. Also, under here, they don't even exist. That's why the blade's loosing and goosing everywhere. Do we throw it in the bin? Or do we fix it? Come on, let's get this back in business and build all the parts that we need to get it spinning and cutting. So stage 1, rebuild the top guides. Stage 2, rebuild the bottom guides. And then stage 3, you have a stage 3? Yep, and that is to replace the rubbers on the wheel, because they're cracked too. So let's do it, eh? Now there was probably about half of the components left on this bandsaw, as the other half had already crumbled off. And when I was buying this bandsaw, I honestly had no idea what to look out for. I honestly just thought that you plug it in, flick a switch, cut some wood, and there miraculously ends up being a smile on your face. But it turns out there are a lot more things to know about bandsaws than I had anticipated. Like parts that can crumble. Who would have known, eh? So I just removed all of the parts that were made from that same material because they all had little cracks all the way through them. So let's all just take a second of silence and appreciate the service these parts have done for previous woodworkers.
I saw a big spider.
You saw a big spider?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Back here.
We're in the car.
No, it was back there. It was a sign.
Oh, it was on a sign?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness for that, eh?
Yeah. It was a pretend one.
It was a pretend one.
Yeah.
Thank golly gosh, eh? No.
Yeah.
We're at the big hammer shop. Why are you wearing that t-shirt?
Because I think it's really cool.
You think it's cool? I don't think these guys are going to agree.
Why?
Because they're competitors.
Don't I?
Yep. You're going to start World War III, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. There you go.
Are these nuts and bolts?
They are bolts and washers. So me and the boss collected some supplies and then we went to the scrapyard. And I found this beautiful aluminium sheet which would be perfect for a fence, and some almost unbelievably perfect, straight, clean, square pieces of timber that I'll be using to build my guides. Supplies! I've got these Hell Racers skateboard bearings, which will be my new bandsaw guide bearings. We've got some reduced rubber, which will be the new rubber for the wheels, washers, M6 bolts, a tube to pack the bolts for the bearings to sit on, and these little gribblies. I thought they were called barrel bolts, but they're actually called connector cross dowels. And lastly, timber. I forgot wood glue. First things first is to clean up this already perfectly made timber. So I ran it through the planer with a couple of passes just to remove the wood grain on the tops and square it off even more than it was already square. And oh, how I had missed using this beautifully loud tool on a Monday morning without any regrets. So I got tricked. Yep, I got tricked. So this, it had wood grain on it. So my mind said, well, that's bloody wood, isn't it? But then I ran it through the planer and it was doing some weird little chewing up things. That's why it's like melted. And it wasn't really going how it normally goes. So I cut it on the drop saw, had a look inside, and it's bloody plastic. It's like decking stuff. So I guess I'm making my guide frames out of this material now. It's actually pretty easy to cut and whatnot. So, I guess welcome to the family, Mr. Plastic. Guess we don't need wood glue then. So now that we're using plastic, I guess it kind of changes things, but it's also just a material where you cut holes, lines and pieces out, and then it turns into another thing. So I was just using that same principle with a different material, and it was cutting like butter with little wiggly worms instead of sawdust. But the intrusive thought popped in. Microplastics. And I know that I really should be using a mask with every single material that I'm working with. So I really need to start working on converting my brain into thinking that a mask is a key part of your PPE. And these lungs only really want oxygen inside of them, not tiny bits of junk. So from now on, the mask is an extension of my face. Oh, is that a new crosscut sled, Matt? Yes, it very much is my new crosscut sled, which I built with these 10 fingers. And believe it or not, I used form ply, which is terrible because every time you try and cut your material of whatever sort, it slips around wanting to go left and right. Maybe I'll build another one in the future. Don't kid yourself, Matt, you obviously won't. We'll just use it to the best of its abilities.
Piece 1, done.
Now this project was great for the mind. It allowed me to think in ways that I had never thought before. Almost like sitting in a cafe, opening a newspaper, and Sudoku is staring you right in the face. So you go up to the counter, ask for a pencil, and start solving. Now these little puzzles help your brain to tick and keep you fresh. Without these mental activities, your brain rots away. So solving this problem was stimulating my brain. See, I don't like planning the entire project before I start. I like to work a little bit, stop, think, and work out what I'm doing, and then move on to the next step. Does it always work out? Of course not. Sometimes I'll put hours in and then realize I missed a very key part. So I start again. But for me personally, I feel like planning is so boring. I don't enjoy doing it. I want to start cutting. I want to start making. And if it comes at the price of failure, then I'll just do it again. What's the saying? Measure none, cut one, realize you're dumb, call your mum. So I'm just going to dry fit it now just to see where I'm up to. I have no idea how accurate I've been doing this. So that looks great. That looks like a new piece of a bandsaw, doesn't it? Now this part didn't really need to be remade again, but I can see it's starting to crumble, so I don't really want to risk it by keeping it. But that's a new piece there. That's looking nice and snug. Let's run these through here. What way does this go? I think this way. Let's see. Does it move? A bit of wiggling, and I reckon that's perfect. Them two pieces on the bandsaw, I just copied exactly how they were originally, but the actual piece that holds the bearings, I'm gonna have to recreate because I don't like the bearings sitting like that. I want them to sit this way so they're actually riding on the blade, and same with the back one, so I don't want it to be sitting this way, I want it to be sitting that way. So I'm gonna have to redesign this whole unit. Woohoo! So when I told my partner Ash about how the bandsaw was absolutely crap and not up to scratch of being in my workshop, she said, "Let's just buy you a new bandsaw, eh? Come on, dry them tears." But I said, no, it's not that easy to throw away something that very nearly works. All I have to do is rebuild a piece and then it should be up and working again. So that's why I decided to challenge myself with rebuilding it. See, I have no idea if it's actually going to work or not, but I know it's going to take a long time to rebuild these pieces. It's the risk I'm willing to take, without the responsibility of my emotions if it doesn't work out. So, it's a new day, and guess what? I got a little bit carried away again and started doing more work without showing you guys, but this is what my guide head is looking like. So we have our bolts, we have our connector cross dowels inside there. We've got our bearings, and the blade should be running in between that little notch there. I've also got to remove the material to get that last bearing running in there. I'm not even sure how I'm going to do this last piece. But follow me on this big wide adventure of trying to get the bearing in. Now this block that I was making was the most important part of this piece, because if the bearings didn't work properly, then my bandsaw blade would be a wibbly wobbly worm. So that's why I built my brackets first and left this piece for last, because that would mean that I could fine tune my skills with this material. Now it did feel very satisfying building these pieces, almost like a micro engineer. But I kept thinking about how great it would be to 3D print these pieces. See, I love the idea of getting a 3D printer and designing pieces that you need for your workshop. I could have printed these bandsaw guides, and if they broke, I'd just click print again. They could be in pink or in purple. I could engrave skulls or names. But I also sometimes feel like it's cheating. Like, no way you can just click print and a product is there right in front of you. But then if you designed it on the software, I guess it's less cheating. I don't know. I'd still love to get a 3D printer. I feel like it would unlock a whole new world of creativity. So why did I choose to make these guides instead of just looking online and buying the piece again? So with the bandsaw that I bought, I could not find anything about it online, not even the specs or the blade size, let alone any spare parts to buy, like the guides. So I knew that I had bought an unusual piece of equipment. Not rare, just not common. So that's why I've had to take matters into my own hands. I probably should have bought a bandsaw that was a lot more common. For instance, brands that are in the tool shops that I can walk into and buy a new blade over the counter. But until then, a budget's a budget, and a brand new bandsaw is what my pocket fears most. Yep, even more than the boogeyman. But anyway, I dry fitted my guides in loosely just to check out what I'm working with and if the measurements all paid off. Because let's be real, there was no planning whatsoever. So that is the top guides in, and honestly, I'm pretty stoked about it. Pretty proud of myself. I made something that looks almost like it was bought from a shop or 3D printed, but in actual fact, it was made with these bloody hands. So next I've got to pretty much duplicate this onto the bottom, but I'm going to make it a little bit easier. I'm not going to do it in 3 parts. It might just be one solid part. But let's get on to it. This last piece should be fairly straightforward. I'm just going to copy how I made the top guides and flip them upside down. And I don't need to build the brackets that make it go forward, backward and side to side, because the bandsaw has 1 bolt to attach these guides. And I can make my guides slide forwards and backwards there, and it can pivot. But it means that I don't have any room for mistakes. I've got to make these guides as accurately as I possibly can, which isn't really in my skill set. So 4 coffees and no food will definitely help me out with this. And the time it took me to build this piece was way quicker because I'd kind of known what I'm doing by now. I just had to duplicate a lot of the things that I did for the top guides, but I could also change a few things that I wanted a little bit differently. Now there is one key thing that I did change with both of my guides, and that was switching out my side bearings with smaller ones. See, the plan was to use some hose to pack out my 6mm bolts, because the internal diameter of the bearings were 8mm, and I didn't want my bearings flinging around on that bolt. But packing these bolts with the tubes didn't work, so I had to go back to the bearing shop and get some smaller bearings, which cost a little bit more money. But in my head, it's definitely worth it and will save the blade from goosing about. I guess I'll just have to keep my Hellraiser's bearings for shredding up the local skate park. They might not be for the bandsaw, but they'll still be tearing up some wood. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 guides. So I just finished on the second one and I've roughly put it in. I've got it so it's not running on the bearings at the moment. It still needs a little bit of fine tuning to go, but it's a little bit squeaky too, obviously because it's a bandsaw from hell. But the blade seems to be running fairly straight at the moment. So I'm really questioning if to change these rubbers on the wheels or not. It seems to be okay at the moment. Maybe I'll just put the plate back on and see if it cuts. Let's just do that, come on. Top tip for me in the future. If I'm moving something heavy and it involves a bolt, it's probably best to bring the bolt with you instead of moving around the heaviness. So the time has come, my fellow friends of the internet, who I've never met and probably never will. But anyway, let's try this bandsaw out. Let's put the fence in. It's bloody upside down. Let's put in the fence. Lock you in. Keep my work straight. You're a fence. All right. So I'm going to start off cutting a really thin piece of wood. I'm just going to do some wobbly lines just to see if it can cut accurately. Headphones, where are you? There you are. Plug her in first. That's smart, isn't it? Okay, wibbles. Bring her down. Gonna have to adjust it. I don't want to. Well, that's a wibble. I guess it worked. Let's try cutting down a 2x4. See how that goes. Now it's only pine, so I doubt it's gonna be too tough on the bandsaw, but who knows? We'll find out. Wibbly 2x4. Now it was struggling a little bit. Not too much, But when you're pulling around in the corners, it is refusing a little bit. So maybe it's just to do with my guides, maybe I just need to adjust my bearings a little bit, but it's doing okay. Let's try one of the boards that I bought the bandsaw for to see if it can cut them in half. Alrighty, let's do it. How's that looking? Yep, it's looking alright. Let's go. Okay. It cut through it. It did the job, but the line is terrible. Now, I was just running it on the fence. I don't know if you can say that. Check that out. But it just wasn't sticking to a straight line. Maybe it's more adjustments on the bandsaw. It didn't feel like it was that gutsy either. It didn't cut it. What's the word? It didn't cut it with confidence. It was hesitating. Maybe this bandsaw just sucks. See, it's waving a good 2 or 3 mil from the center point with my fence, meaning I'm gonna lose a lot of material if I plan this down. I was hoping for a clean cut straight down the middle. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of Magno, what it is, where it comes from. Is it budget? Is it expensive and it sucks now? Who knows? But if you do, tell me, please. I don't think I'm gonna be able to rip these boards in half with this bandsaw. Let's try and adjust it a little bit. Let's see if that's the issue. All right, let's try it one last time. See how it goes. This bandsaw's a piece of shit. Throw it in the bin and buy a new one. Who said that?
Well, thanks for watching the video, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry I let you all down and didn't decide to work. Who knows what my fate is going to be in the future. But give it a subscribe and you'll find out in the next video. Adios!